alive from the eastern side of Samora, eastern or north of Samora. Tsugumiri kwa Samora, kusingaende magets every day. I know in the Robert, not every day.
Saka baba. Muri salad.
Aiwa.
Amuzi salad.
Aiwa, mira. Mchinja nonzi salad.
Because this episode ino yatitongene ma salad.
Atitongene
ma salad.
Izo ndikuzvinzwa. But ndikuti inini. What we are saying is, what do you consider as salad?
Yeah, afana katonge mimi makadza pa ma A schools momchidotara mchinoza.
Ayo. There's ndite salad izo.
Ndo chino distinguisha one anototi chim salad ne the way anongochitotaura kuti you.
Ayo. Inini handisi salad. I am well read. And I am well read, a distinguished character of society. And this salad.
Afana no
salad lifestyle. And it's not only nyaya kutaura chirungu. Because kana mchiti kunoza. Because andingati nini, I went to school for good 13 years. That's primary and secondary school. Plus 2 years of creation, that's 15 years. Plus 4 years of college, that's 19 years.
Ndichidzidza
nekutaura chirungu. Ndichidzidza chirungu 13 years kuti ndibva ndataura kuti my name is. Besides
ndara. Muri munhu ere umboti kana timbori pa let's say pa social media or in lifestyle wise. Because unombofarira munhu wise. The fact that unombofarira munhu, unofarira mandara, unofarira wingi, unofarira mhenwe, inowana wanofarira. Because amboita zvinhu zvamboita waize. Ausomboziva kuti chaita chi kana chi, but nenyombo tambori munhu eyo wombotianza wombochifarira. Maybe wambosenda kana chimeme achitaura kana zvinhu zvisina nemusoro. Aunobvira tombotarisa somboti zvinhu zvinei wamboisa malike wakutoti yo nikakaipa wagwa munoti konenya
That's fanaticism. That is fanaticism. Kuita fanatics and you follow blindly. Just because I'm a supporter of Mandara and chirorganzi Mandara akutengesa nguruwe kuma postori ndechitokuti Mandara bo kana kuti Mandara akuvhurira bhawa rake pazayoja pachicheza chikuti Mandara bo because ndirifanira Mandara aiwa no. I think there's need for that separation as people. We must learn to separate the art from the artist. And a very good example is most people who consider themselves hardcore hip hop and rap fans, they do not give Drake his flowers. They do not consider Drake to be an authentic rapper because it is said that he's not from the culture.
From the culture,
because the driving force behind music, like hip hop and rap, it will be kune struggle and it segregated areas. And because you never lived the struggle, so you cannot then say you're a hardcore rapper.
So,
but look, I can understand, and there are people who go beyond just listening to rap music. Some people relate to it because it's part of their life, and rather nekuti kune vanhu vakakurira mu area where tomboti boys NWA and in the area that they grew up in. Of course, they had friends in their circles, and these people were not part of the group, but they understand where the music is coming from because they're also in the same situation. So for them, it's much more relatable as compared to someone who knows NWA from the radio or from the internet or whatever. And it's not as close to home.
So in the context, we want to separate a person from these works and in context, Tambuisa hip hop in particular, we're talking about Drake. There was this feud, this beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar. Obvious, that was the thing. For some time. It seems like this is months. like this year, 2024, it was always about Drake and Kendrick Lamar.
Drizzy and Kendrick.
It was Drizzy. So the fact that there was a saying, it was said Kendrick Lamar is said he's a product of the culture. We were talking about the culture with the rap music is driven by the black culture.
It's not just
right?
music; it's part of the culture.
It's part of
it's
the driving
interwoven into the culture.
but the driving force, game body behind the rap thing, like people will be like they associate rap music with blackness. Most of the people, because
that's where it came from.
Yeah.
That's where it came from. Just like you associate country music with the southern states of America, where you have your people, Kunana, Texas and Alabama and all those places, and just like even Zimbabwe, Zim dance on the dance on Mbari. The first thing that comes to your mind is exactly
Mangoma record.
And
Ribena Fanta.
Ufunga Fanta, ukangodzwa kunzi Zim dance. The first thing you think about is the ghetto. And utofunga ana Sauro, ana Colors, ana Killer T, ana Blood, ana Silent Killer chichichi, and it already you ukanzwa kuti Zim dance, you are not going to think of Sam Levy's Village.
So I saying kuti msalada kwanisi kuita zvinhu zvedanzo kana kuti ghetto youth akwanisi kungachioneka achiita zvinhu salad hip hop, because they always say hip hop music is for salad those are
veg salad because
then danzo ndema ghetto youth akaita gingiringingira achifamba nekaredio akaita mota muri kubvira
kunoku hip hop ndema salad because inoimbwa nechirungu but originally where
kuti munhu wesanotaura nechirungu musalad. Because it seems like it's been said, those people will be like, hey, what's
chinotimba ntaura chirungu wani.
The way you speak. But no, someone akadzidza pa school nemunhu akadzidza pasakuba 1. Mutauro wedu wakatosiyana. The way you pronounce the way I want to. Unozo takatosiyana.
Yeah,
even
to a certain extent.
You're a salad, that's why uskavisi.
Not salad. Nambokudza kuti inini I'm a well-read person. And I'm not diverse. I can fit in on both ends of the spectrum. And mukanditaiwa takuenda kune boys redu rekuchi north of Samora. Kusina kune nzvimbo dzekuti akutosviki makombi anogumira panapa nekuti kodni ati unotoziva kuti kana uchitoenda kunoona hama yako inogara ikoko hauendi nekombi zuva rodoka because unofamba ugofamba uchingofamba ivo vachingokumirira kusvikira wazosvika utangwadzika bhazi kumusha ukafamba netsoka kumusha.
So right, being to nyaya ye-separation of the art from the artist.
Yeah.
A lot of people say Drake is not a product of the rap culture, right?
He's a fan of the culture.
They say Drake is a fan of the culture. Then Kendrick is a product of the culture. So ipapa manju, a lot of people say Drake unwake, the way he just represents himself, aritunga adokukwanidzira in the hip hop way. In a way, people will be like saying this one is an actor in the hip hop scene. What's your say concerning about that? Especially as a musician, Drake kuti munhu aroda kukwanidzira, because I believe with munhu you are a total package. When we are looking at an artist, the way you sing, zvauchabudisa, we'll be looking at it, but also with your personal life, how you are carrying around yourself, kumuka kwako, kudya kwako, the way you treat other people is all part of the whole thing. So what's your say concerning about people saying Drake is just a fan, he's just a fan of hip-hop music?
I think where that stems from is there's a sense of ownership in any field. There is nothing wrong with leveling up. And I'm all for it. I'm all for leveling up. But I think the issue now is that divide. It's a societal thing. And it's whether we try to bridge the gap or not, it's a societal thing. Even kuchikoro chayo, extends out to kuma sports, kuni nash, when my government schools. Then we had Chiz for ATS, Association of Trust Schools. Yeah, and imagine, in my private schools. We played a different league. And I'm fortunate enough, I played in both leagues. And it. That was at district level. Tatamana chabu, nana pagejura ruby.
Tamana chimanza.
Baba, chemzi ero baba.
Baba. Yeah.
And I think also if we on that issue, I think that's where I can speak against that disparity. Kuti kune that divide. Because my chances ekwenda kuto ku South Africa, my chances ekwenda kuto ku France, my chances ekwenda kuto kunana Spain, what most of these A schools do. Kuti pre-season, we had pre-season in South Africa, you had pre-season in Spain or whatever. Kuchabu ino kunogona kune mfana famai manje anofana ngari the next kama billiard. It's supposed to be like I noticed, that there's sometimes where you just witness talent. Asina kucoachwa zvinomboenda kuri. Ari kucoachwa na teacher wake chemistry. Whereas you have like my coaches are no my coach ebora chete. Pachikoro munenge mutonzi uyu coach ana teacher rake basa nderema sports. He's there basa rake rinotanga na half one. Topa anotanga antouya kubasa ari mu track suit. Whereas patati kuma mission schools. Say wambonetsana nawo ku chemistry usina kunyora ma notes.
Ndiyakuwa mudzidzisi wako bora.
Kusangana nawo ku class. I remember we used to have this Bali, Mr. Mugota. We used to call him Chole. He used to teach us chemistry. Ndara he is one person who used to mix machikoro and my sports. Honestly speaking, munenge makaenda ku game pa weekend. Apo unongori gunman, upo blenka. Upo watadza goyesa. Monday ku chemist. Pakati pelesen mulab imagine dzengo kuti mandara simuka chimboti pakarani. Utonza joga kubva panapa kusvika papa chidzoka chidai. Dzoto continue nekuteacher wamhanya kana 5 minutes right. Karabasi. Kumdaronza uzazvokera pa weekend. Makatadza kurwa mate. But I digress. We go back to that issue. I think nyayo yekuti that exposure now. That issue exposure kuti if there was a uniform level of exposure, I think there would be a different level or quality in sports in Zimbabwe. Because I don't want to lie to you, if you go to these A schools, the amount of attention and dedication and resources that are put into my extracurricular activities are across the board. I think my sports munum anengatori at a different level. Because if you look at it, bora munum kazhinji kacho, naturally football, or rather the usual thing is football kazhinji kacho katasama stars. They usually don't come from affluent backgrounds.
Sagara.
Katasama Brazilians wakomane kuma favela ndo vanozoita vana Neymar nana, and but kuno kumanje you also have the issue yekuti kune mfana anenge ari kuchemanza, but because nash pamwe nenge isina mari yekuunza ma-scouts yekuunza kuisa ma-structures yekuti after mazopinda zimteam muchazoita sei and everything. Because I remember for cheers you have Zim team from under 16 and a Zim team under 18, Zim team under 20s, and most of you make cheese watone green blazer, green tie, in a Zim bird. You're going to tour. Either you're touring South Africa. I remember there was a guy, Alex, was my partner. I used to partner in Pasibi. They went to Germany. I think that was 2015, 2014, thereabout. And that was under 16. So not even if Vasinga the best players in Zimbabwe.
But because of any financial support Shanghai any background
the exposure you get from these outings when you're traveling, Germany, because trust me, if you are in a situation where by 18 you've already gone through a passport, not because you expire, the amount of exposure that you gain from that, you've been to South Africa, you've been to London, you've been to New York, you've been to Paris, you've been to Switzerland, whatever. You travel. I think that money, so I mean, panoda some leveling of sorts, especially panyaya school, because the what I want to that distinctive separation. Mainda ku debate competitions, cannot mainda ku CLC or it's Interact, or whether it's Youth Against AIDS or it's debate or whatever. And then you have guys from St. Paul's Msami, or maybe you've got guys from Goromonzi, or you've but Goromonzi, they're quite okay. I'm trying to look for a school, and or let's say maybe
manyanya utaurisa mirati mbukati.
Aiwa, ukati ka,
By the way, you sha mirati pinze imwe story. Let's talk about justification yekuti either an artist or anyone amboita prosper in this environment here in Zimbabwe. Either you're an artist, you're a musician, you're an actor, but you have your same problems. That is rukutsoma. That not unema problems rukutsoma. How can we justify munhu separating unhu wake and unhu wemunhu nezvinhu zvake? Sorry ndakutaura nezvaSoldier Love. So Soldier Love was that person whomboti nyangwa aita saigono yakatobatwa izvo zvikona silent killer mudhara anonga achitoita kana yes waketa, but on the social morals of people will be like saying you the faces dzikutoya dzakadhakwa dzakastika. We are saying we have to go against drugs, but that same person is giving us good entertainment. Yes, but at the same time it's kind of giving this character those story. So how can we justify kuti this is good if that person arugunza some positivity in the society, but at the same time he's bringing a little bit negativity too? How can we separate the thing and justify kuti this is nice, this is good? This number that say this now kukomera munhu achipamchinjika, because chinodikanwa ndechomboti I think if the good outweighs the bad, maybe that's the justification kuti if the good outweighs the bad, it will be far much better.
Cost benefit analysis. But that's, I think it all goes back to that issue in Nigeria. We need to learn to separate the art from the artist, and it's because when we romanticize things, and it kapinda moyo stereke kuti nova matanga kuda kuti batanga kuti chero makuto defender everything chero zvikanzi munhu wako munhu unofarira abatwa nemukadzi wemunhu utongoti aiwa akato right. Like, look, we cannot justify wrongdoing simply because the person is a desirable character in society, and but also we cannot overlook the good that they've done because maybe it's not just my artists. Look at people like Ryan Giggs. Ryan Giggs is considered to be Manchester United's all-time legend, number one. And if you look at the listings, he's considered to be number one. My legends. But that guy was sleeping with his brother's wife for 8 years straight. You look at John Terry, arguably the best British defender of this century, arguably, and yet he slept with Wayne Bridges' girlfriend, and they played together with Chelsea, national team in England. But we cannot ignore the fact that sports, George Best, to the point where his driver's license was suspended indefinitely. Drive. by the British government. Tsaitofamba nebhasikoro.
So
But zviri zvebhora maitozoti dzopedza. Peter Ndlovu chaiye. Peter Ndlovu has had issues in the newspapers about maintenance and paying child support for maybe 12 or so kids, if I'm not mistaken. But he's Zimbabwe's legend. He's our legend. We cannot take away from the fact that he's some of the best to ever come out of the country.
So about like accountability of harmful content, budiswa nemunhu watinoti so-called role model, because a role model munhu atoti damn, we're looking forward, we're looking towards this person, and he or she have produced that harmful content, harmful character, harmful everything. Kana akasazoita accountability, how should we address him? How should we look at him?
How are they supposed to be held accountable? I think let's start from there. How do you think they should be held accountable? Because look, ukaita a drug offense, darika mutemo wenyika, he must be put behind bars, anditi? Munhu ngaende kusafe. I think what you're trying to say is it becomes an issue now when munhu is propagating the culture kushandisa ma-illicit substances or womanizing whatever zvinhu zvataichiti isu zviri wrong, and then anosiiwa akadaro because they are a celebrity. There I can then say, look, pane problem.
So can we say fame can protect someone to do anything what he or she wants? Because somebody is famous. Somebody is, I still remember I did literature. There's this book called Animal Farm. If you once heard about Animal Farm.
We did that. We did that book. That was all over, right?
Yeah, all over Animal Farm. The pigs, they say all animals are equal, but there are animals which are more equal than others, right?
Anaspila.
So we are saying that in the so-called social world that we are living, celebrities are same as us, but they are more special than us. So they are given more more liberties as compared to us. Mugaona celebrity manya parikapfura nespeeding, boom. But
Jinimbi used to do that a lot, actually. I remember that row on Jinimbi. That intersection on, is it Churchill and Border Road?
All right.
Up by intersection.
So are we saying so is it a good thing to the so-called big people, the so-called big names, celebs, they're not being accountable for their harmful character, their harmful things, because they are affecting us, the followers. So at the same time, you're harming us.
It's inherently in human nature. It's not just fame or whatever, because yama power dynamics, and it. You know, a lot of people, they go by or they get by doing a lot of things that are really not by the book, simply by saying, "Do you know who my father is?" That statement has put people in so many rooms that they were not meant to be in. They've put people up the ladder where they were not supposed to go up that ladder. They've taken people out of very sticky situations. But parrot blog vana vemachef, so to salute already robbers, or even waiter, then you call your powerful friend, whoever who is in a position of power or in a position of influence, and then it's wiped clean. We've seen these things happen so many times, and it's not only in Zimbabwe, it's everywhere. Unaona even kunana states, kana ku UK, kana ku South Africa, because people in high places. Those people can be your ticket out of you to corner. And unfortunately, that is corruption. But those story, it's been there since time immemorial. It's been there since time immemorial. Tobzekera kana kuBhayibheri chaiko chaiko. Mwana wa Herod anditi akatamba was it a party or what? Ndobva anzi namudaro wake urikudei. Paanobvunza moms kuti moms natsina date urikudei. Zvikanzi ainoda ndikuda musoro waJohn the Baptist. But because because she's in a position or a relatable position of power, mwana wa mambo automatically atoone power even asiri mambo wacho nekuti mwana wa mambo John wakatokita musoro wakatodamburwa. He was beheaded simply because mupatongoiswa order yekunzi what do you want, and it's like no, because munhu ari in a position of what, of power. But kuri kunzi dai anga asiri munhu ari in a position of influence, that beheading yatonzi aiwa nyaya inofanira kuenda kumacourts kumachichichi. Kune vanhu vekuti nyaya yake akanzi asungwa aite 3 days, 3 business days, 2 business days at most, ari mukati ari kuseri. And kuseri kwacho pamwe kumasales, pamwe mutopinzwa masales akasiyana. Iwo unotomboita kana 6 months nyaya kwezati yatongwa uchimbonzi anongova ari kuseri.
By the way, let's talk about cancel culture. Kuti there's something bad that you have done. Most probably because inendeka ita chinhu samandara achina na basa because ndiritsurwa handina kana munhu andinoaffecta kana chichi yet and
because tikuziva kuti manje munenge ma 6 million views chichichi. Yeah, but I get it.
So let's say someone is big and you have done something which is very celeb. Ndandodombo justify kubvisa kawedi ke celeb. You are as big as I don't wanna. Let's say my examples. Someone like Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was very good. R. Kelly was very good, but R. Kelly in so doing, I mbunyikidza wana. At the same time, same as Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is anzi.
Allegedly
with the child.
But you know the shorter version of allegedly is Hansi.
Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson. I tamba nevana vasiri vezera rake vana vadiki. Now R. Kelly is in jail because of the same scenario. So from the fame with the impact that Yakamboisa in Zimbabwe, I don't know specific individual. I can say ningina vakaita chakadai so, but vakazoenda zoti. But my example yevano say as big as R. Kelly is Michael Jackson. They have something chakamboita. Then we have cancelled them, and they were part of the culture that we're embracing. They were part of that culture.
Cancel culture is stupid. I'll give you my opinion straight up. Cancel culture is stupid because people have become way too sensitive. Right now, people have become way too sensitive. If you're someone who watches a lot of stand-up comedy, if you're someone area follow of comedy, you've got people like Tom Segura and all those guys, and like Dave Chappelle. These guys, they speak about these issues. And I think that's why, for me, comedy right now is one of the purest forms of entertainment that I can stick to at the moment. Movies, you can no longer watch a movie without bumping into someone who's been put in the cast for inclusivity purposes. Movie yakufana ngene munhu ari gay, yakufana ngene munhu ari a person of color, yakufana ngene munhu, like people feel the need to be represented everywhere and anywhere, and people, you know, like honestly speaking, like I know I'm going to catch a lot of heat for this, but I feel like there's bigger problems in this world than people protesting over issues to then say, we are now forced to address you as they, them, or he or she, or I'm now forced to call you whatever because maybe you go around telling people you identify as a microwave, or you identify as a blue hedgehog, a sonic hedgehog, and now I'm forced to call you a hedgehog. I can't call you a man because I'm sort of like, honestly speaking, when they don't have real life problems. That's the honest truth. Of course, there are certain individuals who are justifiably cancelled. Like in Yaya Arakeli, I can understand, guys, that was pedophilia at its finest. And I wouldn't say at its finest, I think that's a wrong word. At its highest, so to speak. And it's child abuse, it's a crime. It's a crime against humanity, my children's rights, human rights. We can understand you need to be brought to board for those certain issues. But then you have issues where Kevin Hart failed to host the Oscars because he made a joke about being gay. It was like, he said something along the lines of, if my son is gay, what, kick him, whatever. And then he got cancelled. He failed to host the Oscars because of that. And now people have become too soft.
So ndopanandotaura kuti cancel culture, does it have some positive impact or negative? Because about already we're canceling somebody who have done something affecta umwe munhu atifungidzira kuti he is being or she is being deprived of his privilege. Arifungidzira kuti I'm supposed to have this, right? Then that person they are minority in the society and they are being deprived some, I don't know the exact word, they are being deprived that stamina. Then over anyingwa, through that kunyingwa chinichuchu, tovatati this person, we are cancelling him. But that I think that's cancelling inongeri nane than kuti somebody aita chino in a society and he's big and hapana chaitwa. Indovambosiwa akadaro. And we make an example with somebody who is just small to make him big because nechincha akashata chaita ndo chakuitonge mepamwe tovatamita the main topic. Do you get where I'm going?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. But you see, thing is, like, the problem, it goes back to the issue, Kuti. We are focusing on so many things. Honestly, some of these things they really don't matter. They claim are real life problems. If these guys feel like they want to fight for a real cause, they should go and feed vanhu vanenzi araye mashuwa handiti ngavaende kunana bwera kune drought handiti let them go to places kunana South Sudan kune conflict and then they solve real life problems, not debating because it's a debate putting resources into fighting issues ekuti hanzi there must be a toilet for men, a toilet for women, and a toilet for people who do not identify as non-binary. Kana pari pa restaurant kamunogomesana mane 64 madoo ema-toilets. I-toilet ndeyema-transgender, iyi ndeyema-men, women, cisgender, machichichi. Like, honestly speaking, we could honestly be dealing with way bigger issues. Kune nyaya chedzo dziri kunetsa. Human rights violations emashuwa. My human rights have been violated because they don't want me to identify as a cockroach. Come on, guys. Honestly speaking, like this issue of being woke has made people stupid. We live in a simulation. I think we're living in a simulation. Simulation. If you watch some of these podcasts, there's that one I can see whatever. There's a podcast you can see whatever. And there's guys usually hosting these women who are feminists and whatnot, and they're going at each other about these issues. People are just being stubborn.
Right.
Or maybe there are people who are stubborn for the sake of being stubborn. I choose nothing wrong. But I think those student because and forgot kune munhu atokura age yekusvika kuita 20 something 30 something achitaura zvinhu zvisina reasoning zvakadaro.
Can we distinguish between artistic freedom and social responsibility? Because we as an artist, you have the freedom that you're expected to have, and at the same time,
You have a social
you have a
responsibility.
social responsibility. Yes, you are living in this bubble, but ukazopfurikidza apa neapa neapa apa, because as artists ndo vanombotaura, maybe apa ndamboita more specific to artists, because ndiwo anonga ari mainstream, ndiwo anorirarira, ndiwo anokasika wanzwika.
They're people of influence.
Ndiwo people of influence.
Influence yao, you don't need much effort for it to affect you. The influence of someone who's doing like business related, you might take time to be influenced by that person because zvinodamwe kakufunga anditi kakubraina.
Musazoti maartists
Don't misquote me. Wandikata ndisandasvika kwandiri kusvika. Art is meant to stimulate effortlessly. That's why you don't need much for you to be drawn to art. For you to go for a seminar iri kuitwa na Vusi Tembakwayo, or seminar iri kuitwa na Anzanu, this guy, the chartered vendor, this Zimbabwean guy, and the chartered vendor. Kunotaurwa ma business terms mdala. People are talking of things like equity, liquidity. And for you now, kana usingazivi kuti chinonzi equity chi, wakutombonotsvaga bhuku re-A-level business studies. You need to understand what these guys are talking about. They're talking about market share, value, and chichi. So for you now to be influenced by that, you need a certain level of understanding. It's different from art. How many people listen to Amapiano?
Obviously,
of the majority of people, apart from South Africans, all the people who listen to Amapiano, how many people understand Xhosa? How many people understand Zulu? How many people understand Venda? Because there's more to the art than just the language, and there's the music of it in itself, the beats, maybe the dancing that is associated with it. Even if we go beyond music, you go to movies, there's a lot of people who watch anime who do not speak or understand Japanese. But for them, it's something that captivates.
So in context with the question I've just asked, we are talking about Amapiano, right?
Social responsibility.
With conjunction with social responsibility and artist freedom. As an artist, you are producing your art. Let's say a musician is an artist, right?
Yeah.
In your music, you're portraying something. Let's say you're portraying nudity, you are portraying something. And Dambopa just an example. It's just an example. But you portray nudity in your work as an artist. How is there like an extent or like a gauge you can say, socially you have to be responsible?
Yes,
because I still remember confused pakatangobudisa mamwe manamba akhe uthi umaziya mamwe manamba confused pakatangobudisa
manamba confused asitombonyesha my live my Instagram live are confused.
Ukati manamba akhe kapatore rimwe namba ichiva roboti richitanga richibuda baba anongambori
kutanzi my video are confused. It's nothing new to my musicians, especially my rappers and my R&B. There's a lot of sexual suggestiveness in the music, and we understand that. And okay, I wouldn't say understand, but it's become part of the culture.
So do they look at the social responsibility? Are they social
I think
responsibility?
now social responsibility also now comes when we speak of what is the target audience. That's why you see my CDs by kune ka black and white kind of parental advisory, explicit content. You can also, I think it's also now from a corporate standpoint, you're protecting yourself. It's also we produced a product, but we have made it very clear our target market is the 18 plus, but also now can I talk to like beyond just my ages. Kune issue to do with social how appropriate social appropriateness of course tichitaura kuti aiwa paculture yedu as mazimbabweans noditi haisi modest hatinge tichizotarisira
ndodobvunza kuti so can you promote your art with things zvekuti zvinobva zvichiita hinder our culture? As an artist, can you promote your art with things that you know they're in hindrance they are not promoting our culture?
Yeah.
You are putting nudity in your art. You are putting I don't even know people. They say smoking, drinking, drug or substance abuse. You are putting it in your art. Do you think with that it's pushing that good morale in the society at Otishida? The main reason why Kendrick Lamar is considered to be a person who's pushing good impact in the Black history. I know Uchikura is maturity with the music. Obviously, will be eliminating other things, but artist yagi more of it. You know, get portray will affect the people, right? Racial discrimination, something like that. I'm just giving an example of Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, it's an example. Mm-hmm. I think it also goes back to it being an issue of what is the kind of art that you are producing. Is it social commentary? If it's social commentary, are you praising Zunraur Warner? Are you going against things that you're seeing in society?
So can we praise bad things using art? Can we praise nudity using art? Can we praise substance abuse using art? Can we praise going to bars? Can we praise that using art? Oh, I'm not saying that people have to switch from having good time because I'm munfara. But at the same time, you have to be responsible, right? That responsibility, it can be pushed through Munu. Arikuimba, Munu, Arikubudisas chino pa TV, pa screen. That person, if he sings, if she does that, through that information, it can change somebody.
I think where you're coming from is there's artists and where they deliberately sing about, popping bottles and hitting the strongest Cali weed and doing cocaine and what, like Itoliko music actually, taking pills and whatnot. Yes, and I understand that music has the potential to influence, and it's
how? Please, can you explain?
You already fan like Kendrick.
Yes.
And because you're a fan of Kendrick Ramani akatanga let's give for an example. All right, let me not use Kendrick. Which example can I use? All right, fine.
With that,
fans of Rick Ross, they push the Bele Rose because it's Rick Ross's brand. He pushes it, so there's that influence. That's why you see some of these popular people, they now go into producing my products like clothing, like my fans at Travis Scott. 90% of my fans at Travis Scott, they want to dress like the guy. That's why I was taking my sneakers, my Travis, my Air Jordan, my Travis, my trouser, my cargo pants, my baggy t-shirts, the tattooing and what. Like, the influence is there. People, they now tattoo like their favorite artist does. They dress like their favorite artist does. They take the same drugs that the artist that they like.
So, should we boycott that artist if he or she is bringing some bad morals to the society? In context in Zimbabwe, not in other countries. Let's say here in Zimbabwe, a certain artist is giving some bad morals.
I guess the question is,
should we boycott?
Is the art pushing that? Is the arts pushing that behavior? Because kana ndichimba kuti ndorohwa nembanje and ngatirohwe nembanje or ngatirohwe nebrongo, and for that now we're gonna accommodate. But then you can have an artist and this person arikuimba pamwe arikuimba gospel, but iye lifestyle yake pamwe munhu is a drug abuser, and we can then say aiwa comrade zvamuri kuita izvi guys, this is not proper, but we cannot take away from the music kuti aiwa comrade vanobata chi. You go to South Africa, you look at people like Zahara, you look at people like Lundi. I don't know if you know Lundi. Ayimba gospel, so it's young gent. Those guys were on heavy drugs. You look at Brenda Fassie. Brenda Fassie is a gem. She's an African gem. But so now we're saying the music is their music, but they are not pushing their behaviors through their art. That's why I can say you need to separate the art from the artist. But now, when the artist is then saying, then it's questionable now. Why are you pushing for that? Because now also your music is being listened to by these impressionable young people. These impressionable young people are listening to this music, and the chances that they're also going to go into that culture or into that behavior, some drugs. Now we are holding you responsible because you are pushing it. But and for a good reason also.
By the way, we are living in a world like we are being channeled everything. I think when they say it's being forced, like a super forced power for everything nowadays is the technology, internet, and so can social media can social media or the personal persona of a person, of an artist, blur some blurred lines kuti anotozita zozoziva kuti munhu zvaari kuita for the good of isusu kana kuti akumboitira for the clout. Can you do you understand what I'm saying? Kuti
now
we are living in a world like people, they are doing things for the clout, they are doing things for the likes, they are doing things for being seen kuti haiwa ndaonekwa ndaita sei. Any post arusenda because ada kuonekwa, any post arusenda ado reach an audience kuti nasi ndaisa 500Ks,
it's public fora,
ndaita 10 million views.
It's public fora.
So is that social media drive like putting some blurred lines kutitisanya sozona like the actual artist, like the actual art which the artist is trying to portray to us as the audience?
Because Clout already there's an issue of influence. That's why Mazono there's this job, Mazono influencer, and it's an Instagram influencer. And the funny thing is these guys are making money. They're making money, and you know what? Shout out to these guys. It's indo grind raro ndo hasora mazano wanango mangwa biologists chinokupa mari
biologists.
People have become influencers, they become brand influencers through inyayo yokuti any outreach that Clout yokuti kune vanhu vari kutera and everything. But I've always told people kuti what you see on social media more often than not is way different than what is actually behind the scenes. And it's because, and to a very good example, garage store in emergency, my baddies. My baddies are equal my streets, and we see baddies on Instagram every day. Every day.
When someone of my baddies in there, man like Baloy.
You
better shout out to them, man like Baloy.
Doesn't tricky son Baloy, but shout out to Baloy. But my baddies are. Because it's a curated image. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's something you take 60 pictures, you choose maybe 4 or 5 of them, you do the editing, the lighting, what kind of a picture by Instagram. izvinhu zvekuluka perfect, skin glowing on point, Gucci, Fendi dress, Louboutins on your feet, mimosa uri kubeach. Pamwe wakaendeswa kubeach, maenda family function, and you harness the moment and you give us the impression that this is your lifestyle. A very good example, you've got people who are coming from the other side of Samoa. Nokratuma kombi. Onosvikira pavillage kana mazuva kune Highland Park,
Highland nderopisa village yokwa wani unoona munhu ari kutogezera kuti uri around
mazuva kune
pajoin ayo musazokangane join hanzi join na 6 kuma 6 unoona mabaddies ari
ayo mabaddies anenge achitonokwa ari kuenda
ayo hawasiwezi
anenge ane kwakutoenda unoona munhu anotouya achitorwa mapictures paroko mama chichi but the fact of the matter is ari kurwa jembe kwamaigeti and patu papa not to say anything bad about kwamaigeti kune rimwe jembe rinorwa nematumbi ikoko which is but they're trying to give you an image. So now my point is when you're looking at these things on social media, it's a curated image. They're showing you what they want you to see and perceive. So it's not what is there. Because I stopped my pictures kuroko mamas. Anosvika kudheni vakutonobvisa Brazilian akutonotsiga bhageti remvura kubva kuchibhorani. So you need to understand kuti there's more to these things than what you see on social media. That's why I've always told people social media is for entertainment only. Don't take that shit seriously. Don't take it seriously. Unoona umwe munhu anopinda nemoyo pazvinhu zvekutaura paTwitter. Unenza nemunhu ari kutotwitter, munhu anenge achitwitter zvakati uri kumba kwake akaturika makumbo
arobatwa zvaye
mwe ari kutodhisa mabaddies atori nebaddi rake achidhisa mabaddies pasocial media. I remember I used to have this girlfriend who used to post the most triggering memes. Une mamima yekuti anzi vamwe vari kuendeswa kana like there's a meme yekuti pamwe inenge ichitaura kuti vamwe vari kuendeswa kuBahamas nechichichi, vamwe vari kuendeswa kuVic Falls and what not, and then there's you unongodya good morning January to December paWhatsApp inbox ona. Should put up those kind of things on a status and say I can relate, but then behind the scenes I don't know if we were really happy, but we were in a good space. So sometimes in-dept kana mutanga chita pari mwana anochairira anosays because obviously akuna vanona status yake andiri vanoziva kuti ndine mufezo wake, but then aringa achiposta zvinhu zvakadhakwana, or maybe someone is acting single on social media whatever. So I'm always saying kuti zvinhu zvamunoona pasocial media, guys, please by all means ignore most of that shit. But it's a curated image. A supposed success.
To wrap it up, how can we create like a timeless culture, a timeless contemporary artists, like that art we can say we can cherish for a lifetime? Like we want to cherish something for a lifetime.
Good art speaks for itself. It doesn't die. That's all I can tell you. As an artist myself, good art speaks for itself.
So how can we preserve it?
How can we preserve it?
Because truly speaking, it's very sad for something, we can it as a bubblegum thing. How can we preserve? How can
bubblegum music? I'm sorry if you're not an artist who can produce something that transcends and it's my boundaries of race, culture, time, and kinds like that. Good art speaks for itself. How many of us are still listening to Annalena Dembo. A lot.
Then I'm trying to write so mara you.
It's almost over a decade now since she's passed on. I think it's over a decade now since Choniso has passed on. And look at things like Eben Grooves. Music Eben Grooves. Music I got that time in Chamembe. Like Chamembe, they're dropping a new album.
So
Chamembe, this is 20 years later. And the following music because it's good music.
So is technology diluting that prevention? Carry Kwesi Kwakusina, because it seems like technology is the one which is just diluting everything. Like the art is being diluted. Can you say technologies are diluting the art?
No, I don't think so. I don't think technology dilutes the art. If anything, technology is supposed to boost the art, because now you can reach a bigger audience because of technology. Right now, someone can be having a world tour, and although I've always said that the world tour is a very misrepresented term, because Nanakuti world tour, and he's gone to maybe 16 countries that are in the northern hemisphere and maybe 2 in the southern hemisphere. World tour. World tour, we expect it to be around the world. But anyway, I digress. Right now, someone can be going on a world tour, or an artist can be coming kuno kuzim, and it's not going to announce a week earlier. It's going to announce NAS already. The whole world knows because of that instant access to information. Back then, when we were using post and mail and newspapers, post right to squad 2 months or a month before, because now even sharing of music, there's now digital platforms, music is shared, and everywhere you're seeing samples on YouTube or on TikTok or whatever. And the art, if the art is the art, no technology akutoputika kufana utomboneza. For you to expose people to your art, you need to put people in a position where they experience your art firsthand, because from TikTok, Instagram Reels and Facebook and whatnot. But now I can produce my art. It's easy. You have a podcast. You don't need people to come and sit and be an audience. But she could even visit in a podcast. No, YouTube, Facebook. Already kwatu ne vanhu vari kuAustralia vari kuzoti aiwa samandara vari kuita sei vari kupa matata pamicrophone
vari kubata chinhu.
So what I'm saying is good art, good fashion, good technology, good design should not transcend. They stand the test of time. I think that's the best way to put it. I'll give you a very good example. Denim will never go out of fashion. You can tell me whatever you want. Kwakamboya ma viscose akauya akaenda. Kwakamboya ma kodro akauya akaenda. And kwakamboya time yakairwa ma satin shirts, munhu wese aipfeka shirt yesatin. Izvezvi haisi serious popular. But denim haripere, because it stood the test of time. I'll give you another good example. Chuck Taylor. Tennis rara, white bumper, the white bumper too. Chuck Taylors have really changed their original design. Their design is the same. Munongoza kuti tennis black, 2 marivets but ngikini aba side up. Ne bumper kuma toes white toe. Ne white sole. Ukangorona, the first thing that comes to your mind is my Converse, my Chuck Taylor. Sure. And the boots you ndikuda my 70s. But it's still the same design, still very fashionable. Things like my formal dress shoes, my design, my suits, my chichikune zvinhu
Mandara wadiko.